And
Hello,
I
Billy.
that was me.
Okay. Uh, Hello, Billy. It's an honor to be talking to the goat of arcade gaming. How's it going?
Very good, sir. It's always good.
Good.
I appreciate your time very much.
I appreciate your time. Please tell us about your experiences from the King of Kong and now arcade and love songs, The Ballad of Walter Day.
Well, the King of Kong was the first time where our experiences and our history was put on film in a big manner, um, on the big screen. Um, and because it was our first time, you might say we had less knowledge or um, less control of, how accurate the story was or how much fun we had. Um, but we knew exactly with arcades and love songs exactly what we were looking for. And again, I kept saying to the director, I kept saying, this has to be about Walter. This has to be about Walter. They'd have me say and do some fun things, things that are entertaining to the camera, and that's always fun. Believe me, it is. But I was worried that they weren't going to make Walter the centerpiece, and I was wrong, or I was wrong to assume that. And I was cautious, not wanting anything but that, him being the centerpiece. And I was very delighted to see that it came out the way that it did. Um, again, it's a little more serious of a film, and it's more personal. It's closer to real life, and real life experiences. It doesn't necessarily have, all of the, colorful, situations, but it really tells the story um, of Walter's life and how it came out.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Were you worried about Walter being able to pull off singing at his concert?
Um, in the early years, because he started talking about this. I mean, I'll pick on you, Jason. When were you born?
78.
78. Okay, so you were, I don't know, you were barely out of grade school when he started talking about this. And I'm like, oh, come on, give me a break. Oh, come on, give me a break. This was just this guy I knew, and he was older than all of us. So this was just the old guy we knew talking about music. Give me a break. But he wouldn't stop talking about it. And he kept saying that he was going to go on to his next phase of life. But when you talk about something and you've talking about it and it's going into its second decade, you know, you just say, just let him talk. But when he finally retired from being a video game referee, and he said, as he had said all these years, now I'm going to go after he would say his dream. Sometimes he would say his next phase of life. And it was at that point that I thought he's still talking about this. And now he's freed himself up that he truly could do this if he wanted to. That's when I thought he really is going to make this happen, or at least he's going to have fun trying to make it happen. Um, and everything just fell into place. He met the right people. He met the people who wanted to work with him and support him. Um, he already had a support network. I don't just mean from me, but from other players as well. People who had such good experiences with him through the decades. Um, and again, at that point, I thought, wow, he's really going to do this. And I thought what he had achieved in the gaming world was so incredible. It was hard to argue, even in my own mind, that he couldn't do it because he had already achieved so much. Therefore, it'd be stupid for me to think that he couldn't do it. The question was he going to be persistent enough to persevere? And again, as time went on, I saw it unfold, and it actually got exciting. You know, he's driving 3 hours to go to a studio to rehearse a few songs. Well, nobody drives 3 hours just to be a screwball. I mean, they go there because they're going to do it. And then he's done. He gets to drive 3 hours back. And of course, compared to the 80s, now the whole time he's driving, I'm on the phone with him and he's telling me what he's going to do on the way there, or he's telling me what he did do on the way back. So it easily captured me. it easily captured the people that supported him because although we weren't there at the studio, we saw his situation growing and unfolding. And so to finally see him get on stage and finally do it and to pick on him and laugh at him because he wondered if he'd be able to do it. He wondered if he'd have the nerve to stand on stage in front of all those people. He stands on the stage all the time in front of people. So in that point, we were picking on him. Yeah, you've been on the stage talking about video games in front of, hundreds or thousands of people. Yeah, I expect this next time you go on stage, you're just going to collapse, you know. But those are self doubts that we all have in our own growth. And he went through every bit of it. And it was sometimes it's more fun to watch somebody have fun. Sometimes it's more fun to watch somebody succeed. Sometimes it's more rewarding to be a part of that simply because you supported it and then you see it happening. And that's exactly what happened with Walter.
Yeah, it's so amazing in the film to see him at at 74 years old at the time following his dreams and to see your support of him too. Yeah, I just love to see it. Walter told me he loves to meditate. Has he gotten you to try meditation?
No, he hasn't. But, yeah, no, he's pretty serious. Well, he's not pretty serious. He is serious. Um, and I don't know if I've learned not to fight him or if I just gave up fighting him. We're going somewhere, and he'll say, "No, I have to meditate first." It's like, well, can't you meditate while we drive? No, no, it'll only be a short bit. You know, it's an hour and a half later. There is no short bits, but it obviously does well for him. He meditates twice a day, but when he meditates, he also does yoga. So if you consider the fact that he's 74 years old, 75 now, hmm, he almost 76. He bends down, he picks stuff up, he walks over there, he goes there. I mean, like somebody who's 20 years old. He's as flexible as a teenager. So when I see all these things that he is, somehow I gotta believe that he has some knowledge, some truth, some benefit to all that he does. Um, and I'm happy for him. And I'm happy for myself too. No, I haven't started doing it. So when you do it, let me know how it is. All right.
All right. Is it true that Tom Cruise was supposed to play you, but you said only Billy can play Billy?
No, I didn't say Billy could say Billy. Um, um, when we say Tom Cruise, whether it was actually Tom Cruise or it was Tom Cruise's group, because as you would know, there's a whole lot more to an actor than just the actor themselves. And yes, we were told by the producer that they came back and said that I mean they liked it. Um, I think they were the ones that actually inquired about taking control of the whole project, but ultimately it was one of them who said no, only Billy Mitchell could play Billy Mitchell. Um, I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but I'll take it as a compliment. And I've had people ask me, "What would you think if Tom Cruise played you?" And my humor, I said, "Well, he is intense. I mean, he is, and he's a great actor. He knows how to play all angles." And I said, "I just wonder if he'll come up short." That was my humor.
Yeah.
But things like that are very, I mean, I take them as an honor to think that people would even say those, whether they're serious or they're in humor. Um, I've been told same thing about Jim Carrey. Uh, there's been a few, and it was, it's very flattering.
Yeah. I mean, people love your quotes like that. Do you have any more off the top of your head that we haven't heard yet?
No, but I'll be coming out with a few.
All right. You recently won a pretty big court case. Are you able to talk about that?
Well, I always knew that I'd win. Um, it wasn't. I didn't speak about it during the case because I was told not to. It sounds funny, the a lawyer tells you not to, that doesn't have much impact. Um, but when your son and wife tell you not to, that has a greater impact.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that there was a lot of drama, and people were surprised at the facts, but it wasn't close. It wasn't even close to being close. It was never close to being close. So it wasn't something that I actually, you know, no, I'd lie if I said I wasn't worried. I guess you're always worried of the unknown, but um, things have turned out, you know, the way we thought they would. No
Yeah.
thanks to me. There's people a lot smarter than me that make all this happen. So,
Well, well, do you have any tips for gamers?
yeah, my old joke is that, they say a guy in Nebraska gets on a bus and drives down to see you and he says, "Hey, Billy, I want to be a gamer. What do you suggest?" I tell him to get back on the bus and go back to Nebraska. Um, Being a gamer is a lot like being an athlete. Um, when you take advantage of the opportunities that come your way, um, when you still get your education, when you still get your training, when you still get your values, when you still lay a great foundation, and then you can put gaming on top of that, then that's awesome. That's the advice you would or should give to a musician. That's the advice you would or should give to an actor. That when it's part of a foundation, um, first of all, it's a lot more enjoyable because you always have something to fall back on. Um, and it, without a doubt, when you have that foundation, it adds to your character, to your ability to succeed and the worldliness that you gain through all that knowledge. Um, but that's what I tell people. The guy that sits on the couch and eats potato chips and is nothing but a waste of human flesh sitting there with a game controller in his hand, that's not a gamer. Most of the gamers that I met are like the smartest people in the world. Um, they are extremely, um, they're absolutely ingenious. You could put them in a round room and they could put a penny in a corner. I mean, they're amongst the smartest people I've ever met. Um, and that's a gamer, which takes a lot more than simply the controls. I often explain to people that when I go to conventions, when I do special appearances, the least important thing I do, the last priority, is actually gaming. It's everything else that creates the good fortune that I've had and the appearance I make at these events.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, I love your Rickey's hot sauce.
Mm.
Tastes amazing. Um, can you tell us about how you formulated that?
Yeah, it was way back. Let's go into the 80s, and I had this obsessive personality that was probably formed by gaming and an idea of pushing and wanting to be the best, wanting to exceed, wanting to excel, wanting to do what other people couldn't do. And so, I was, say 20 years old, and how was I going to channel that energy? And our family business, the main item on the menu was chicken wings. The main item on chicken wings is hot sauce. And I did have help from a much older gentleman, and um, he said to me, you know, he said, "I'll help you make a hot sauce better than any hot sauce in the world." And I just trusted him. I relied on him. I took what he helped me create, and then at a later time, I enhanced it even further. But without a doubt, it was based off the knowledge and the experience that he gave me. But it was the obsessive personality from gaming that drove me and still drives me in that direction. And So that's my that's my real job. That's what has actually given me the good life or success that I've had. Um, Again, the gaming is extra because I have something to fall back on, just as I was speaking of earlier.
Yeah, it's very cool. Um, there was a lot made in the original King of Kong, but about this. But how do you feel today about Steve Wiebe?
Well, I see. Let's take away the time from COVID until now, because a lot of things didn't restart, and I don't know that anybody has seen Steve Wiebe since then. But let's go prior to that. I would normally see him about once a year, and I would see him at an event, and at those, we were very cordial. Um, I don't think we ever had a negative word, and in fact, there were times when my son crossed paths, not with his sons, but with some of his students. My son went to West Point, and another guy at West Point was Steve Wiebe's student. So, boy, I'm thinking it was 2018. I did a little something with Steve to honor the two students at West Point, my son and his students. And the old joke was, if we're sending kids to West Point, well, we're doing something a little better than Donkey Kong. That was the old humor about it. So yeah, so no, we don't. I mean, I see him on occasion, and not for a few years, as I've said, but yeah, I we cross paths, and he'll we have a little more in common because of the example I gave you.
Yeah, it's cool to see a different side of you in arcades and love songs. Is there anything else people should know about you that they don't know?
Yeah, don't get used to the arcade and love songs. I'm gonna go back to the bad guy soon. But no, I have some opportunities coming up, and I guess sometimes the film people think it's more fun to be bad than good. It's more fun to be the antagonist and the pacifist. Uh, but there's some opportunities coming up, and there's a lot of inquiries that are being made as far as gaming conventions and such, guest appearances. And I haven't done many of those lately because we've been so busy with filming. Uh, we'll see what happens. Uh, we were supposed to go to the Netherlands, back to England, back to Australia. We were supposed to go to Japan. Um, to be honest, everything is always a choice of conflictions when it comes to a schedule. Always. Not just the schedule of the gaming world, but the schedule of life. People used to movie producers used to give me a hard time because um, they'd have something scheduled and I'd say, I'm not going to be there. And they go, why not? Because my son has a football game that day. You can't miss your son's football? No. You can't miss one game. I said, not one. There's no price tag on it. Um, and I'm so glad I had that attitude. But again, now my son's, older, and now my time's more free. So we'll see what the future brings.
That's awesome. Definitely family always first. Arcades and Love Songs, The Ballad of Walter Day will be available on global TVOD and digital on June 9th. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
June 9th. No, I'll be in town. I was going to say I'll be out of town or out of the country, but no, I'll be in town. And I can say that it accurately follows Walter's life, but more so, it follows his attitude. It follows his outlook on life. It follows um, his positive attitude that everything will be fine, keep moving forward. It really does. He's always like that. Um, I like the fact that it goes and starts all the way even before video games, and it goes long after video games. So
It's it's a beautiful thing to see. It really is. Everyone should see this movie. Thank you so much, Billy.
All right, sir. You are appreciated.
Thanks.